Gubernatorial on 3?
Gubernatorial.
Yeah.
Gubernatorial is our action.
Yeah, okay. 1, 2, 3.
Gubernatorial.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Quibble, our first inaugural... I knew it. I knew I was going to it up, dude. I knew it.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah, okay.
Leave it in.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Quibble. I am Kyle Shreve.
I'm Max Yates.
And this is our first inaugural episode. Today, we are going to be discussing everything that happened at San Diego Comic-Con this past weekend.
Absolutely.
As well as Deadpool and Wolverine's triumphant debut.
Their gubernatorial debut.
Yeah, the gubernatorial debut.
Do we
Spoiler
know the
if you haven't seen
definition
it.
of what gubernatorial is?
No, I have a layman's understanding of that, but I'm not sure.
Give it to me. Tell me.
Yeah, it's like diplomatic, right? Like a
Goober, like very. I was thinking gubernatorial, like a person who is a goober.
Yeah, most likely.
We can break that down later.
Yeah, we can break that down later. All right, so San Diego Comic-Con, a lot of news, of course, from Marvel. Before we get into Marvel and DC stuff, though, biggest things, The Boys is getting a spin-off prequel show starring Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy, as well as Max's favorite show, Invincible, already announcing a season 4.
You know, it's up there. It is one of the few shows I watch consistently when it drops. Even though the animation is kind of lacking at some points.
After 3 years, yeah.
After 3 years, it's a little bit... I love that show. I love the story. We get the black suit of Invincible for the first time, which to me just means it's going to be like depressing as for our main character, but it's whatever.
Yeah. So now on to DC's content. Biggest panel DC had was not even anything DCU related. It's their Elseworlds brand, Matt Reeves' The Batman universe. We got an update on the Penguin television show, officially releasing September 19th on Max. We got a new trailer for it, obviously starring Colin Farrell. Matt Reeves was at Comic-Con himself. He is the producer of the show. Your thoughts on the initial trailer that we saw?
Honestly, okay, so this is trailer 2 that released, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
I like this trailer a lot more than the first one. The first one just looked like they had B footage.
It was a teaser.
It was a teaser.
Yeah.
It looked like they had B footage from the Batman and they just put it together in a trailer. This one I can kind of tell the story they're going for. I'm digging the crime thriller vibe they got going. I also really like Colin Farrell. Like, he's just going to rip.
Yeah, Colin Farrell, Academy Award nominee Colin Farrell. I have to say that because I just love him so much. So looks fantastic as Penguin. I do like the storyline where he is really going to be trying to take over the power vacuum that was left when Carmine Falcone died.
Looks like he's got his own Robin, like some sort of protege that he's trying to bring into the crime world. Is it somebody who's already in the DC universe? I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Honestly, perfect that he's doing this now when the Falcone family is discombobulated. Sophia Falcone is coming in, who was an Arkham prisoner.
Yeah, she looks like she's going to be like the main villain or whatever conflict he's going to run into throughout the course of the show. Don't know much
People
about her.
People seem threatened by her. We did see her literally kill someone in the trailer. In
Arkham
jail.
Asylum, yeah. We have Arkham Asylum there. We're going to see some Barry Keoghan.
We might see Riddler. We might see Paul Dano. We don't know because this is confirmed to be obviously taking place after the Batman. Matt Reeves did say it's about 1 to 2 weeks once the show ends to the Batman 2. On that note, finally confirmed to be filming early next year with an October 2026 release date.
So excited about this. It is by far my favorite superhero character is the Batman. I will withhold any judgment or guesstimation until we get more of an idea of what this is going to be.
Yeah. All right, moving on from the Penguin, in terms of James Gunn's reboot of the DCU, the first project footage we have gotten is the Creature Commandos teaser trailer, animated form, basically Amanda Waller's attempt at circumventing the U.S. government. She can't have Task Force X anymore, Suicide Squad, so now she's getting non-human entities led by a human
Mhm.
to pursue these dangerous missions.
Does this feel like a response to Invincible's success? Like they were like, okay,
It is.
Invincible's doing okay. It's the same thing with Batman the Caped Crusader.
It
Like,
is.
are they now looking at Invincible's success and being like, okay, an animated superhero TV show can work?
I think we are seeing that comic book mediums are transitioning more, I think, to an animated style rather than live action, because you can obviously do so much more with that. Interesting, though, that James Gunn did confirm that Amanda Waller is being voiced by Viola Davis, who obviously plays her in the live action.
Straight up in the trailer, it's like, oh, that's Viola Davis. Thank God she's here, because she is probably going to be the best part of the show. Yeah. Unfortunately, who is the actor that played Captain, the guy with the yellow shirt?
Joel McKinnon.
Joel McKinnon doesn't look like he's going to be voicing.
It's actually his father, Rick Flag Sr., who's being voiced by Frank Grillo, I believe, or Gillo. Yeah. My apologies on that. Who will also be in the
mess
new,
up his last name.
Yeah, who will also be in the new Superman movie, confirmed. So
as who?
As the same guy, as Rick Flag Sr., because Gunn did confirm that a lot of the animated characters will be voiced by their live-action counterparts as a better symbol of continuity, which I have my own thoughts on that. But yeah, in terms of that was really everything DC did. He did reveal the new logo. Yeah. The new logo.
Looks great.
Yeah, it looks great. Nostalgic 70s, 80s vibe from
It's
Gunn.
Weird that we're like talking about the fact that they've released a new logo. That seems a bit corporate, but it's a good logo. Yeah. I'm tired of
it's a reboot. You know, I do have faith in the DCU. It's a reboot. So.
What was their old logo? It was a bunch of like faceless bodies.
Yeah.
That like of characters we never.
Or just
saw
like a straight up like D and then C, like in a box. You know. So.
This is way better. I'm with it.
Yeah. Now moving on to probably what everyone saw, we have the Marvel San Diego Comic-Con, now a staple. Kevin Feige, of course, was on stage there. First thing that we got was new footage for Captain America Brave New World. The cast was there. Anthony Mackie was there. Harrison Ford actually made an appearance, which is surprising.
Had to make an emergency landing. He was flying his personal plane, had to make an emergency landing on the highway to make it to Comic-Con this year. So I'm glad he's got 2 emergency landings under his belt. Really proud of him as a pilot. Great that he's going to be in this. I love to see Harrison Ford just get that bag. Love to see him. Apparently, he didn't know he was going to be the Red Hulk. Love to see that he doesn't know what the heck is going on.
The press tour is going to be fantastic when they start. Yeah, they might not even send him on it, honestly. But
he might be at that like Biden age where he's just like a liability in front of a mic. But I'm very excited about this one. Looks like they're going back to the Captain America Winter Soldier type vibe. The trailer is cut very well. It's enticing. Like I'm excited for this one, especially because it does look like a Marvel movie that will begin the next step forward. As we've discussed off pod, that like these past few movies are just kind of there.
Yeah. We finally, after 9 projects, got basically an answer to the Celestial. Apparently in the footage that was only released at Comic-Con, Harrison Ford's character, Thunderbolt Ross, mentions directly about the Celestial sticking out of the ocean, and it will be made
Eternals?
out of, and it will, from Eternals. It will be made out of adamantium, which is probably how they're going to start bringing in
the Celestial.
X-Men and Wolverine.
Whoa.
And also, the biggest point of the footage that was shown is Harrison Ford as Red Hulk transforming in front of the White House
after
giving
he's
a press
giving
briefing.
a speech.
Yeah, a speech.
I like when I heard this news, I'm picturing like original Avengers, kind of like a body horror scene where he's just like absolutely torn apart by the Hulk.
I mean, he has to lose control. There's no way he would willingly do it.
I'm so hyped about this movie. I'm just hyped to see Harrison Ford be a goober on screen. He is one of my favorite actors. He phones it in, but I eat it up every time. I don't care.
It's great. And the only other bit from that movie is that Giancarlo Esposito makes his MCU debut as Sidewinder, the leader of the Serpent Society. Kind of a relatively, I think, B-list group of villains in the comics. So
If you are based off a snake, it's probably likely you're a B-list villain.
Yeah,
No, like snake vibe I'm getting from him. Like,
no.
what? How are they gonna? Is he gonna like have a snake in his jacket? Is he gonna like have venom?
Yeah, and he seemed to be wearing a brown leather jacket in the trailer. Nothing discerning him that he was a member of the Serpent Society or the leader of the Serpent Society in any way. So,
are you gonna be disappointed if there's like no snake? If there's no snake attachment to his character, and he is literally called Sidewinder, and that is it, and he's just like an evil guy besides that, no like snake connection whatsoever.
I would be very disappointed if they wasted Giancarlo Esposito's chops on
just a
generic mercenary.
Bad, like,
but however, Marvel, we don't need to talk about this now, but they have wasted a lot of actors' potential in the MCU, even though they have to sign on for them and everything. But moving on from that, got a little bit of Thunderbolts footage for the first time, which I know everyone is super excited about. The ragtag group of super soldiers.
3 characters that are going to be in Thunderbolts.
Florence Pugh.
No, they're characters.
Ghost. We have Ghost. We have U.S. Agent, and we have Red Guardian.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Name
3.
4.
Name 4. Valentina De Fontaine is being played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Interestingly enough, in the footage, it showed her in Avengers Tower, which in the Hawkeye show, Hawkeye mentioned that Tony Stark sold it. So was it sold to the U.S. government, or is she just working there? Like, did she buy it herself? Does Wilson Fisk own it? Is she working with Fisk
if the
in New York?
Avengers Tower becomes the Thunderbolts Tower. And also we have to talk about what is with the asterisk at the end of Thunderbolts.
I know. And Feige said it'll all be revealed. This is really my most least anticipated MCU project in a very long time, honestly. Maybe besides Agatha all along, but in a very long time, movie-wise especially, because as a fan of the comics as I am, and so is Max, Baron Zemo is a staple in the Thunderbolts. He's not going to be in it for obvious reasons because he hates the super soldiers so much, so why would he be in the group? You know what I mean? But Daniel Bruhl really just takes on that character, so... Yeah, that's what's missing.
If we somehow got some of these, like I know Sony and Marvel are still 2 separate things. If they threw in Venom and whatever, who's the other guy, the vampire guy from the Sony universe?
Morbius.
Yeah.
Morbius. Yeah.
If they threw in
Morbius. Morpheus is from the Matrix.
Okay,
so,
yeah. If they threw in Morbius and Venom, I'd be like a little bit more excited about this. But as is with the current roster, I'm just kind of like, I honestly don't know if I will see this. Obviously, if we're covering it, I will watch this one. But literally no interest in this movie for me.
Yeah, sad. Finally, some updates on Fantastic Four. We got a title, Max. Fantastic Four, The First Steps. Your thoughts?
At first, I was like, they fumbled the bag. What is this title? Fantastic Four, The First Steps. Too many Fs. Okay. Also, just call it Fantastic Four. We're hyped for them already. There's no need to add a subtitle. However, I have heard news that this is like based in an alternate
1960s New York. Yeah.
In the actor interviews, there was a lot of talk about Neil Armstrong, which surprised me. So then I'm like, okay, the first step.
They are confirmed to be going to space in the movie, which makes sense because why would Galactus show up?
So they might be going to the moon.
Yeah.
If it's going to be like, if that's the direction they're going, I'm cool with the name. But the name at first to me was a little bit agitating. Otherwise, did you see the leaked footage?
I did see a bit. Yeah, it looked great. I'm hyped.
I love when Marvel, like WandaVision, Werewolf by Night, a little bit Thor, when they take this like superhero context and just put it in like, okay, we're gonna do a weird alternate 1960s. I eat that up. If you take Marvel, the comic idea of a movie, and you put it in like a Shakespearean old Viking world like they did with Thor, I like that. So the fact that they're being weird with it, I love it. The cast, Shreve and I have talked about how this cast,
It does genuinely seem like a family already. Yeah. So that's the vibe you have to nail with Fantastic Four.
Pedro Pascal and
Vanessa Kirby. They seem very close on the red carpet.
I was watching some of the videos.
Yeah, of them. Stuff going on.
I was getting a little hot. I have to say that.
Okay, like, yeah, they were valid. Yeah,
they were vibing. There's a point in one of the interviews where he like caresses her arm. They start holding hands. Weird
on
vibes
stage
going on.
In front of everybody during the panel. So
I don't know. I'm here for it. Both of them are extremely attractive human beings. Whole cast, honestly. I'm hyped for this movie. And this movie will lead into the 2 upcoming Avengers movies. What are the titles for those?
Before we get to that, real quick, just some stuff that wasn't mentioned at Comic-Con. So X-Men, 0 mention of X-Men thus far at all. Spider-Man 4, still don't really have a true update with Tom Holland. And then Armor Wars, which I don't know if the movie's just dead, but we have nothing.
TV show. What was it? TV show?
It was originally a TV show, got moved to a movie with
That's
Don
always
Cheadle.
A great sign for a project. I always love when they take a TV series and then spin it into a movie. It sounds like it's going to go well.
Yeah. Especially considering we have 0 concrete updates on it so far.
What else do we have 0 concrete updates on?
Blade.
No word about Blade.
No word about Blade.
Which is supposed to be coming out 2026.
And we still have nothing.
It's a little awkward. They've had this one in production for what feels like 10 years.
Come through, I believe, 2 or 3 directors, several different writing rooms, many scrapped ideas. So sad that they're wasting Mahershala Ali, a 2-time Academy Award winner, Mahershala Ali, who came to you and wanted to do Blade. You did not go to him. He came to you, and you're wasting it.
We will see about this one. Regardless of, I mean, it's going to come out. There's no way they write this off as like a tax something.
It'll come out.
It'll come out. It's going to be, like, I'm more interested about this just because of the drama behind it than I am about Thunderbolts. We're definitely going to see this one. Is that all that was left out of Comic-Con?
Yeah, that I could think of, the big things that were left out. Now, the biggest news from Marvel's panel, obviously. A lot of thoughts on this one. 2 Avengers movies coming out. We already knew about Secret Wars. Obviously, due to the Jonathan Majors situation, he was fired by Disney. And Avengers 5, The Kang Dynasty, was no longer called that. We didn't know what the title was. Now we officially do
the
Avengers.
The title is Avengers, Give Me Your Money. I'm sorry. Avengers Doomsday.
Yes, Avengers Nostalgia Bait is actually what it's called. So, releasing May 1st, 2026, currently slated.
So Shreve texted me about this. You were like, dude, RDJ, your initial reaction was hype. My initial reaction was, this is creatively bankrupt. This is...
I think they're trying to fill up seats for these 2 huge blockbuster movies, because Avengers are like their cash cow.
We haven't even talked about why this is crazy.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to the MCU. Not as Iron Man, but he will be.
We were playing Doctor Doom, and a lot of people saying it's a Tony Stark variant, but I believe the Russo brothers, all to check on this, did say on stage Victor Von Doom. So it would not be a Stark variant. I have a lot of issues with, by the way, the Russos are back directing, which is a shocker.
I'm good with this. It was the right decision. They were doing nothing at post Avengers Endgame. And Marvel needs them, frankly. They are really good at taking a cast of characters, especially a large cast of funny characters, and putting them in a story that works. I've loved their 2 Avengers movies.
Except for really their treatment of Spider-Man, but but I think it'll be.
Spider-Man's going to be a big player in these movies. You know it. He's like probably
who I'm predicting to be the MCU's anchor being. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
We'll get to that later. Take. So yeah,
I like that. But overall, Definitely mixed feelings on this one. I know why they did it. You get rid of Kang, you either recast Kang or you have to pivot hard.
By the way, probably the easiest character in all of comics to recast would be Kang.
He's got lots of variants of himself.
And
he wears a blue
we talked about
face.
this. We talked about this off screen. Is Kang done in the MCU?
Are they just
are they just moving on and shelving him, or
are they going to? Is it going to be like a throwaway joke line?
He did get defeated by ants in Quantum Mania.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, after that, nobody was really excited about Kang regardless. So it was kind of a letdown. How they're going to do this is going to be head scratching. It's not going to be smooth. It's going to be jarring. But regardless, everyone is going to see this movie because freaking Robert Downey Jr. is going to be like
he left the Marvel trap. A lot of people say won a freaking Oscar in Oppenheimer, and then decided to come back. He got his award, and then he immediately decided to come back. I wonder why. Probably for money. But yeah, probably for $50 million. Yeah, on this.
I don't blame him. You know, and that reaction when he walked out on the stage, you can tell. Is it money or is it the fact that he is like one of the most beloved characters put to screen recently? Who knows? Robert Downey Jr. Love to see him. Hope we don't get a Dr. Dolittle performance from him and more of an Oppenheimer performance from him.
Yeah, which I think we will.
Yeah, he's going to be sinister for sure.
And I want to get this out of the way. I'm not saying Robert Downey Jr. is a bad actor because he's not, or that he's going to be bad for the role. However, due to his standing already established in the MCU, and the fact that they should have gotten a Romani actor to play Victor Von Doom, they're kind of whitewashing it a little bit. They don't really want to get too much into that, but there are obvious problems here. Yeah. It's not that it's a big-name actor coming back. It is, I understand variants and whatnot, but there were so many other actors. I mean, this is clearly a nostalgia box office, you know.
And there's
which is why I fell for it. I was extremely hyped. And then after...
What changed your mind?
It really was waking up and thinking about it more and being like, it's great as like a fan, but then at the same time, like if you read comic books and everything, there are so many other directions that they could have gone.
That's my problem with it, is that it feels like they cast him and they did this reveal to have people freak out at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Which it succeeded. After that, story-wise, character-wise, future of MCU-wise, what are we doing? They'll figure it out. It's for like the attention grabbing of the headline. It worked. I'm going to see it. I was going to see it regardless. My question also is he going to be in Fantastic Four, Avengers, Doomsday?
Matt Shockman actually today, they asked him about it, who's the director of Fantastic Four, and he said that he can't comment on it. That's also my problem, right? You're jumping him straight to an Avengers-level villain, maybe without him ever interacting with the Fantastic Four beforehand.
Ultron. Not that Ultron was, like, amazing villain, but, like, they kind of did the same with him.
Valid. But Fantastic Four also confirmed to be in the 2 Avengers movies as well, which...
second Avengers movie being...
Secret Wars.
So we got Secret Wars. We knew Secret Wars. That was already announced. No other details besides it's Secret Wars.
Nothing.
We got the logo reveals. They look great.
Yeah.
I'm hype. I think what this does, the casting of Robert Downey Jr. as the main villain in Doomsday, is it fixes Marvel's big problem, which is always villains. They suck, frankly, at not casting villains, but
they're
creating
one-offs.
compelling.
They're one-offs. Yeah.
Creating a compelling villain. The most compelling villains are Thanos and Loki because they had
more time to develop.
Tied. They had more time to develop. We care about those characters. They have a story, a reason for what they do. Everyone else besides that is kind of bland. I do believe that this solves their villain problem. And with a villain problem, we can speak to Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
Big villain problem there for me.
Huge villain problem. By the way, this is not going to be spoiler free. We will be discussing the full movie in its entirety. So now is your time to skip
Go
if you haven't
watch
watched. Go
Deadpool.
watch it, honestly.
What are you
Like,
doing?
Go watch it.
Do
Yeah,
not
it's
click on this
fantastic.
video if you have not
Yeah.
watched that. Okay.
Before we get into it, before Max will explain the plot and everything, let's first just take into account how successful this movie is. At the time of this recording, about 450 million
Yep.
at the worldwide box office. One of the biggest
It's good
opening
to be back.
weekends for an R-rated picture.
Yep.
Maybe the biggest ever.
Twisters, Longlegs, Twisters, Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm feeling good about the movie industry right now. We're going up. I was scared after Furiosa underperformed. It looks like we're on the right track. This has made 450. It's projected to make around 450 mil.
I think it's easily going to pass the $1 billion mark.
Oh yeah, it'll be a Billy.
Who knows if it'll pass Inside Out too? It's going to be hard for an R-rated movie to have that kind of legs. But I already plan on rewatching it again.
If at the end of the year, the two highest grossing movies are Inside Out 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine,
which would be insane.
Red pill or blue pill, like that is the most. Those are the two most opposite ends of the spectrum movies. What was your viewing experience like for Deadpool and Wolverine?
So I saw it opening night on Thursday at 10 p.m. I had to work during the day.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it at 10 p.m. Theater was filled, absolutely filled.
What format?
In IMAX. Okay. I saw it in IMAX. It wasn't filmed for IMAX, but I saw it in the IMAX theater. All of their merch was already sold out. I tried to get a popcorn bucket. They said we sold out at 9 a.m. I was 13 hours late by the time I got to the theater to see it. What about you? What was your viewing experience?
Opening night, I just did like a standard viewing experience, AMC Phipps. So I have to talk about my viewing experience. On my row, there was a gentleman, probably our age, who repeated every funny line in the movie out loud after
you see,
it happened.
I hate people like that.
At the beginning, it was like, oh, this guy. I'm not a Karen, but I was dangerously like Karen levels close of being like, dude, you got to tone it down. Like, this is every line. This guy was repeating the funny part of the movie out loud. I was looking around like, am I taking crazy pills? It was insane. I think for the comedy portion of this film, which is like most of the movie, it kind of put a detriment on it. I saw it again earlier today just to make sure like that didn't have a big hold on it. Jokes are great in this movie. Let's go through the plot. It basically opens with Deadpool. It starts with, okay, we're spoilers. It starts with an opening sequence where Deadpool dances to Bye 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 by Backstreet Boys?
Mm-hmm.
No, NSYNC.
Oh, is it NSYNC?
Sorry, y'all. We're 90s babies, but we're like late 90s.
Yeah, I'm 98. So yeah,
same here. We're like, they're boy bands, you know? So NSYNC, Bye Bye Bye. I thought it was a great sequence. It is a little jarring to see, like, to go from obvious Ryan Reynolds in the suit to obvious dance coordinator in the suit to obvious, like, action coordinator in the suit. I love this opening sequence. It ends up with Deadpool killing a bunch of TVA agents with Wolverine's...
From Logan.
Yeah, from Logan, his like
adamantium skeleton yeah. Basically. Yeah.
And then it quickly does. I know it goes to like, and let me tell you about how I got here, which Deadpool 1 did. I don't remember. Did Deadpool 2 have that?
It started off with him on the oil drum saying he's going to blow himself up. So it did, I believe. Yeah. Yes. But
I'm fine with this. It goes back to like 5 years prior or something like that, where Deadpool is basically trying to become part of a superhero group, the Avengers or the X-Men, to win the good graces of his girlfriend back.
Vanessa,
played by...
Ooh, stump me on that one.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I've got it right here. Vamp while I pull it up.
Yeah, he's essentially working as a used car salesman now, really trying to earn money, get back into some form of society because Deadpool is not needed.
And his girlfriend, played by, I almost said Cassandra Nova. Vanessa, played by Morena Baccarine. Okay, well, I'm mad that I looked this up because I don't even know how to pronounce her name. Sorry. I love this actress. She is usually my like favorite part in all the Deadpool movies, especially her relationship with Deadpool.
She already has comic book experience. She was in the Gotham TV show
Oh yeah.
as Dr. Leslie Tompkins, who
Mhm.
was really in it for, I believe, the entire run of the show. So yeah, I mean, she's got her chops, but yeah, go along with it.
So she basically leaves him because he's not doing anything with the powers he has. Classic, gotta get the girl back story. What ensues is another 5-year time skip to where they've been broken up. He's a car salesman wearing a toupee. He's done being Deadpool, and he has a very sad but funny birthday party. I'm loving his friend. What's his bestie with the nipple rings attached to the
Peter.
Peter, his
Yeah.
best friend Peter, showing up, showing off his exquisite form with the thing going on here. And from there, the TVA shows up at his door and basically takes him into the MCU. This is kind of where my problems with the movie start. I thought this movie is hilarious.
I do want to say respect to Kevin Feige and also really Disney for they did not hold back any. I really think this movie is like raunchier than
any of the Deadpools before.
Maybe the first two.
Yeah.
Maybe not in terms of visuals, but in terms of dialogue, I think definitely. I mean, excuse my French, the pegging commentary, the
this is new for Disney.
Yeah, this is new for Disney. A lot of jokes at Feige talking about cocaine and whatnot, but
I mean, and that was like one of the funniest conversations at that party, that birthday party he has, is the cocaine conversation. Hate that it was spoiled in the trailer, but they got to get people in seats somehow. From there, dude, the exposition starts. We have Mr. Paradox, played by, who's our boy? Played by Matthew McFadden of
he's in Succession for
fame.
the run. Yeah, but
I was hyped about him being in this. He was kind of a letdown for me. They didn't give him anything to work with.
Yeah.
He was exposition king for this movie.
It was like James Bond, like British, like
cartoonish villain levels of. Oh yeah, James Bond. Like, I've trapped you.
MI6, like leader of MI6. Yeah. Like,
let me explain my freaking villain arc, and let me wave this like I can take you to any dimension device in front of you. I don't know, man. You're not here for this story. You're here to laugh and to watch Deadpool. And
it's Deadpool, so you're not there for the story. But
it was a little bit like, and then so basically the reason Matthew McFadden and the TVA have taken Deadpool is because Deadpool's anchor being for his timeline, which is someone who is so important to all of the other characters that if they die, the timeline,
the universe and the timeline as a whole
withering away.
Over thousands of years, it's stated by Paradox. So not a short time frame by any means, but he wants to speed the process up, essentially.
And turns out Logan was the anchor being for Deadpool's universe timeline, his sacred timeline or whatever. So Logan obviously dies, and that is where Deadpool gets the bright idea of, oh, this guy is going to take out my universe, my timeline. Because
everyone I
this
care
anchor
about
being is gone. I can join the MCU, but I love my friends and my girlfriend who hates me. So I will go and find a Wolverine to insert into this timeline, and my universe will continue on. That gets us back to the opening scene and why he finds Logan's skeleton. And from there, he goes on a little soiree through the different universes to find a Logan presentable enough. Thought that these were funny. I didn't know, was Calvin, what's his name?
Who?
Superman.
Henry Cavill.
Was Henry Cavill like fan casted as a Wolverine?
Yeah, I mean, for years he's been fan casted, really ever since he was like playing Superman. And I would actually argue that's really the only kind of cameo in the whole movie because he really is only there for one scene.
Yeah.
And the other characters we're going to talk about really were.
I don't know. There's one that's like.
They help the plot move forward.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Cavill did not at all. All he said was, like,
beat it, bub.
No, he said, what did he say? I can't think. He said, you were just leaving. And he does and then punches him like through another portal.
There are, classic suit Wolverine. There's also
Fighting Hulk, the classic suit
two Wolverines I'm not familiar with. The one strewn up on the X-Men cross, like on a bunch of skulls. Love to figure out. I was
familiar with Patch, the Wolverine variant, but I was not familiar with the one strung up on.
What about the no hand Wolverine in the like weird future where everything's burning?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Don't know who either of these are.
That was odd.
Yeah. And then he eventually stumbles across our drunken POS Wolverine, who is eventually the Wolverine that Deadpool takes because he's the only one that doesn't fight back. He's basically like so drunk that he's like given up on his life. It's obvious that for some reason in this universe that this Wolverine is found in, the people of this universe hate him because he's done some acts that has everyone pissed off. He is not the Wolverine of lore like every other universe where like he is the coolest guy ever. So he grabs this drunken Wolverine in his OG suit and takes him back to TVA, where some more plot
exposition filler. You thought this guy could replace your Wolverine. He can't. He's nothing. They both get sent to the void, basically. It's a pretty short scene, but...
And so the void. We start off in the void with one of the coolest fight scenes I've seen in a Marvel movie in a long time. I was enthralled. We got the AC/DC drop.
Deadpool versus Wolverine, finally. Just so interesting because obviously they both can regenerate. So like it whatever they do to each other, it's not going to it's gonna hurt, but they're gonna be fine.
We get Wolverine crawling on all fours like an absolute maniac. Love that. This fight stops. Why? Why does this fight stop? I forget.
So I believe it's when they either have an argument or the Mad Max people start showing up, right? No, Chris Evans.
Yep.
We get Chris Evans, and we think it might be Captain America until he takes off his tarp and it has the Fantastic Four and he says "Flame on," which, by the way, besides Cavill, my theater erupted during that opening.
My theater, no clapping.
Really? Like at all?
Any of the cameos, everyone was just like...
like you maybe you heard murmurs, but it wasn't like... Yeah.
But like, it was middling. So, Flame on, we get Johnny Storm back. Chris Evans getting that bag once again, just taking a fat check for a little cameo. His Boston accent is Johnny Storm from Boston?
New York.
New York.
Yeah.
Little
he hadn't played. It's been 20 years.
This
right? He hasn't played. Yeah, he hasn't played.
We have some more questionable accents further on, though I believe it is on purpose.
Yeah.
But so Johnny Storm comes to save the day. He gets his powers absorbed by Pyro, so he falls on his family jewels and is out for this fight. Then we get Sabretooth versus Wolverine. Wolverine absolutely clobbers him.
Which is about 3 seconds in total, the entire fight.
This is like the beginning part of where I have my major issues with this movie. It doesn't feel like a movie, more as just like a bunch of sketches patched together to continue the story. Especially in the Void, I was just kind of like, once you know this is literally called a Void, you're like, oh, so nothing that happens in here is going to matter.
Yeah.
Like, this is just kind of nothing.
It's all about them trying to get back so they can save the
Deadpool's
universe
timeline and Wolverine.
One of the only reasons we forgot to mention, one of the only reasons that Wolverine agrees to go with Deadpool is he's like, the TVA, first of all, without knowing this is true, he's like, the TVA can help restore your universe.
That's actually why they stopped fighting.
Yeah.
It's not because of Johnny Storm, it's because Deadpool is about to get his head chopped off.
Good point.
And he's like, I can save your timeline. He's just saying that to save his own skin. Eventually, the Mad Max group of marauders takes these two, Wolverine, Deadpool, and Johnny Storm, back to Casanova's lair.
Cassandra Nova's lair.
Never heard of this character before. Have you?
I have, yes.
Okay.
She is in the comics as the twin sister of
Unborn
Charles Xavier.
Twin sister, or like she passed in childbirth.
Yeah,
I don't know,
and
something.
something that happened. But yes, her lair is actually a giant Ant-Man skull. Which, funny joke about Paul Rudd finally aging, yada yada. But again, it's just odd. Again, I understand it's the Void and they throw a bunch of things together and anything can happen, but it was just, the Void was odd.
Void had some odd vibes. Yeah. Okay, so Deadpool gets Johnny Storm killed in a very funny moment where he's basically throwing him under the bus for a bunch of stuff he didn't say about Cassandra Nova. Johnny Storm gets his skin literally taken off in a funny moment. And then Cassandra, we start to see her powers. It's like telekinesis, maybe teleportation. I'm not really sure.
She can affect matter, and she can really do a lot of things that
she's got some
Charles
awesome
can do, basically. But
except for Charles can just read minds. Cassandra Nova literally has to stick her fingers in people's heads, which is honestly kind of terrifying to watch. It was one of the cooler scenes in parts of the movie. From there, this being from Loki,
which Deadpool mentions from Loki season 1 episode 5, Eliath.
Another part that's just
why would he be in agreement with Cassandra Nova? We've never seen that occur. You know what I mean? But
just Void nonsense that basically leads our two heroes to skirt out of Cassandra's lair, and they land somewhere off screen. And we meet Nicepool.
And Dogpool.
Dogpool and Nicepool.
Yeah.
Two very funny characters.
Which Dogpool might be one of the ugliest dogs I've ever seen.
It's sad to say.
Yeah,
And during this sequence where Dogpool, Nicepool, Deadpool, and Wolverine are talking, Ryan Reynolds does make out with a dog for an extended period of time. I'm just gonna leave it at that. How many? We
don't really need to say much about this scene. Nicepool, which he's dubbed as, says you don't want to run into the Deadpool variants. They're not like me. They're not nice. Mm-hmm. He gives them the Honda Odyssey car, and they make their way to the so-called resistance group that he talks about.
The resistance
Chris Evans talks about.
That Johnny Storm was a part of. Take us through the characters in this resistance group.
So,
first of all, did any of your theaters
before that happened, we had another Deadpool and Wolverine fight because Deadpool let it slip that because he said we may have a chance to save your universe, and Wolverine stopped the car and was like, "What do you mean may?" And he's like, "I'm going to fight you now." And they fight literally all day and night. You see
okay. Are they fighting or are they?
I mean, I think they're fighting.
Okay, hold on. So this is one of my favorite fights. It's the top 2 fights. I also have a theory about the fights. The fights, in my opinion, in this movie literally go from best to worst. Best starting with the opening scene. The fight against Deadpool and Wolverine is awesome. This van fight is so cool. They've got close hand-to-hand combat going on. And it cuts from them literally tearing each other up in daytime to the van rocking at nighttime. I don't know. Deadpool and Wolverine,
as it says, coexist. Because it's
Deadpool and Wolverine might be getting it on in this movie. We'll see. And it cuts to them the next morning. Deadpool is wrapped up in the seatbelt. Wolverine's there. And what happens from there?
I believe they start. Do they just start still trying to find
somebody?
Them. Yes, the van starts driving.
Yes.
Away. Yes, someone gets in the van. The van starts driving to the hideout, where then they wake up, and this is when the movie really gets off the rails, kind of, where you see the full power of the Void. So
Did anyone in your theater clap for the characters released? in
Yes,
this?
every single one. My theater clapped.
Not a
for
clap
The characters.
for
Yeah,
mine.
really.
Vibes were off in my screening. I think that guy repeating all the jokes literally killed.
Yeah, it must have, honestly.
Like the vibe for everyone. He was probably like, "Oh my gosh, that's Channing Tatum," and like everyone was like, "Okay."
We first get introduced to Jennifer Gardner, who played Elektra in her solo movie, which is
Deadpool
probably
thinks
maybe one of the worst Marvel movies I've ever seen.
Deadpool thinks that Elektra is Wonder Woman, which is hilarious. We also get introduced to Blade.
Yes, Wesley Snipes shows up, which rumored really when they first started production, but was never brought up again. So I didn't put any stock in the rumor that he was going to show up, especially because it's always been hinted at that in the filming of like Blade Trinity, him and Ryan Reynolds did not get along with each other. So that's why people thought he was never going to show up, yada, yada. He shows up. Then finally, I think personally the biggest surprise of the movie is Channing Tatum showing up as Gambit, which the person that I was seeing the movie with was like, is that Channing Tatum? And I kind of had to explain it to him after the movie that when Fox, before Fox was bought by Disney.
Was it after X-Men Wolverine Origins?
I think, yeah. So there was a Gambit movie that was supposed to be in production, a solo movie just called Gambit with Channing Tatum that got canceled because it was bought.
To Comic-Con as Gambit. Like this was happening.
Yeah. 20th Century Fox Studios got sold to Marvel, so they scrapped everything that they had in production. They probably should have scrapped Dark Phoenix, but I think that already released. Yeah.
Should have been a tax write-off.
So he shows up in the like X-Men 97, X-Men animated series, comic accurate Gambit costume, which I do want to say, I loved it. The head armor looked so stupid, but it was supposed to. Like that's the reason, like that they did it, right?
He is doing one of the funnier accents I've ever heard.
It's a Cajun accent, but he's butchering it.
He's butchering it maybe on purpose.
I think he is, considering Deadpool has a line about it, like who's your dialect coach and everything like that.
It is hilarious. I'm making the car go boom.
Yeah, yeah. Woo, I'm going to make a name for myself. Yeah. Like, I could not understand sometimes what he was saying.
He's hamming it up. He's having a good time. I love seeing Channing Tatum show up in a movie and just be a goober. He's hilarious, and he was definitely the one out of the four ragtag group that I was like, this is hilarious. Last one to show up is X-23.
Yes, is Daphne Keane, who... I hate that they spoiled it a week before. They showed one final trailer and they spoiled it.
Mr. Shreve here told me that there's going to be a spoiler in the next Deadpool trailer. I'm glad he told me that because I didn't watch it. So when I watched this for the first time, that was a reveal for me. Apparently, she was wanting it to be revealed so that
a while ago, so she could go to the premiere.
Yes, which makes sense. Yeah. But like, just show up at the premiere.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. Why not?
Like, without the trailer.
Iman Vellani goes to every single premiere. Yeah. He's not in the movie. No. Like, yeah, I know it would have turned a few heads, but her and Hugh Jackman are friends. You know,
it would have just created whispers. It would have created a more exciting reason to be there. It doesn't matter to me. I didn't watch the trailer. She is there basically to just be like another plot device for Logan's story in this one. Logan, the Wolverine, has literally the exact same character development that he has in Logan, the movie. Although,
this is when we start getting the backstory of what happened in this version of Wolverine's universe. He went to the bar one night. They told him to come back and everything. And he starts talking about Scott and he starts talking about Storm and Jean and everything. Humans infiltrate the X-Mansion. Kill all of them, and then he basically comes back and it really can't forgive himself for any of it. Like all the X-Men are dead, basically. Yeah.
Hugh Jackman acting his behind off.
Literally, yes. As was Daphne Keane as well.
Yeah, putting in a great performance in like a movie that frankly doesn't deserve it. This is why he has top billing along with Ryan Reynolds. His rant to Deadpool when he's mad at him in the van
is maybe one of the best moments in the entire movie. So
he's so good at playing Wolverine. I'm glad that they don't write him off at the end of this movie. He has to be in one of the next three, or one of the next two Avengers movies. He's got to be in this stuff. He's so good at playing Wolverine. You cannot recast him until he is old enough to where it's unbelievable. And it is still totally believable at this point in the movie. So we get his backstory, and basically it ends with him being like, and that's why
I'm no good to anyone.
You got the wrong guy. And X-23 responds with, you were always the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Was that at Wolverine the character, or was that at Hugh Jackman, the actor who plays Wolverine, who was not supposed to play Wolverine in the original X-Men? It was in another actor.
No, I didn't take it like
Okay.
that. I really did take it as
too hard.
I really did take it as like Wolverine. He messes up a lot, but he will be there to like defend the people he loves, like when it matters.
So they devise the plan to infiltrate Casanova's Ant-Man.
Cassandra Nova's
Cassandra Nova's. Is Casanova an asteroid? Like Casanova is something.
Yeah, Casanova's something.
Cassandra Nova's Ant-Man lair. In another cool scene with another needle drop. Lots of needle drops in this movie. Wasn't
and the plan is to get Juggernaut's helmet, because that's the only thing, if they put it on Cassandra Nova, that's the only way her powers aren't going to work. Without that, they literally, she could have killed all of them instantly. Ex
Machina, void, mumbo jumbo, let's move the plot forward thing. Actually, is Juggernaut's helmet in the X-Men? Like, does it actually stop Magneto and Charles from reading his mind?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was just to give him some extra, if he's headbutting a wall, he'll break through it.
It depends on different iterations, but yeah.
Okay. So that's their plan. Let's go grab this helmet, put it on Cassandra Nova. You guys can get the ending to your story because you guys were all sucked out of your timeline, and we'll get back to where we belong. So this is the plan. It leads up to one of the more disappointing fight scenes in the movie.
See, this is where I disagree, but go on.
Really?
As to why you think it's disappointing.
Dude, you're dealing with Channing Tatum, who's there just for the paycheck. Wesley Snipes.
They all had their moment. Yeah, they all had their moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it goes from this what I thought to be well choreographed.
It went on too long. I'll say that. It went on too long. Because, first of all,
it's just shaky cam city.
Cassandra Nova had all these goons, and it literally seemed like no matter who they killed, there was just more people who kept on coming. Infinite goons.
Cassandra Nova tosses around Deadpool for a bit.
Wolverine for a bit.
Yeah. Then she starts braining Wolverine. We get more of his backstory. What we've already discussed.
Yeah. Daphne Keane throws the Juggernaut helmet. Deadpool puts it on Cassandra Nova, which stops the powers, and she's like, I can't get you out of here unless you take this off of me. Which, probably Hugh Jackman's character, Wolverine, his finest moment where he appeals to her instead of really threatening her, because, there's really no threat that he can levy because they need her, and then at the same time, if they take the helmet off, she can kill them.
But it's
instantly.
It's another thing that all we know of Cassandra Nova is how incredibly evil she is. She would never do this. It's just another thing to keep the plot going. For me, it didn't work, but we get her pulling out the Doctor Strange thing, yada yada yada.
Hugh Jackman's character appealing to her using Charles, which is really the first time Charles was ever mentioned, and it was he would have torn a hole in the universe to find you if he knew that you existed, and that sort of turned her, which made sense. But then you're right. Maybe if she was always if we got more of Cassandra Nova, maybe it would have made sense. Her screen time, it didn't make sense for the character to.
It is a problem for me throughout the movie. It is all over the place. It has each of the threads on its own. Wolverine's thread as to why he's hated and why he wants to redeem himself. Deadpool's thread of his girlfriend left him because he's not living up to his potential. And Cassandra Nova's thread of, I hate everything because I was the unborn one, but seeing that my brother caused so much good in the world, I can change. All of these are like impactful storylines that I could get behind if they fleshed it out. Really, they just kind of like, let's go, let's go, let's go. Jokes and let's go.
Which brings me to my most disappointing part of the movie. How you had this change in Cassandra Nova. Then she comes to where Paradox is at and instantly turns evil again, using the machine to just destroy timelines, right? I really thought Paradox was going to end up being really the final villain and not Cassandra Nova, especially after that moment.
Yep.
That was one of the biggest letdowns for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's disguised in also a really great moment in the film where Nice Pool shows up with all the Deadpool variants, including Lady Deadpool.
Man. You like that?
I liked it simply for the fact that I wanted to see the Deadpool variants in it.
Yeah.
I liked the fight scene. There is a fight scene that ensues where you finally see Hugh Jackman don the cowl.
That was pretty awesome.
Which was pretty cool. Like a Prayer playing from Madonna. Again, another needle drop beforehand.
Got sleeveless Wolverine. Absolutely jacked Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
Ended
with them jumping out of a bus. And which literally looks straight. Yeah.
CGI.
Awful CGI, but it literally looked something like straight out of a comic book.
If they could have gotten that to look good, it would have been one of the best shots in the film. Unfortunately, it looks like a PS2 cutscene.
It sort of looks like, if you can imagine this, the end of Black Panther's fight scene, which literally looked like a PS2 video game.
It was very janky. This fight scene didn't work for me because we've had 2 Deadpool and Wolverine fights. They're both regenerative, so it doesn't matter. And then we have these 2 regenerative beings against an army of regenerative beings. It's just kind of, I sat there when that was happening and I was like, I feel nothing. This has no emotional stakes for me. And it's just like,
my theater was loving it. My theater was cheering. Mm-hmm. They were clapping during it as it was happening, which is probably more so a reason why I liked it. I guarantee you on rewatch, if I go on some random Tuesday with no one in there, I'll be like, okay, like what's going on? But
so in my viewing today, I actually left at the end of this scene, mainly because I had to get ready for this, but also because I was like, the ending of this movie kind of does nothing.
I think the ending is probably the worst part of the movie because, and even Deadpool mentions it, it drags so much. The ending after the fight scene, I really thought, okay, that's the climax. They're going to go to, because like that's still not the climax in my opinion of the movie. So after this happens, and by the way, I guess you could use the cop out where it's like maybe he didn't know that they were regenerative.
Yeah,
because Nice Pool wasn't.
He dies in a hilarious scene, and also probably the funniest joke for me in the movie is when he says, I can gently break the fourth wall too, and then just looks at the screen and says, the proposal.
Hilarious. Also, them making fun of the multiverse saga as a whole when Nice Pool was like, I liked everything after Endgame. Like, a direct shot really at Kevin Feige, who obviously had to sign off on all of this, so it's nice he has a sense of humor and knows what the fans are wondering, but I don't know. My view is that Kevin Feige signed off on it so they could take a shot at Bob Chapek, who replaced Bob Iger as CEO, and just he literally said he wanted content over quality. He just wanted to churn out a bunch of projects, which is now kind of what they're reverting back to. But anyways, back to the plot.
So honestly, my brain blanks after this.
They go down to the subway
Paradox.
Station. Yeah.
He's setting up his time killer machine. He gets absolutely destroyed by Cassandra Nova. There's an extended scene where she is like sticking her hand in his brain. It is like that CGI looked amazing to me. And it was a genuinely concerning part of the film. Basically, she changes it from...
She wants to know how it works, basically.
She changes it from like cutting off this timeline to cutting off all except the void.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kind of sending everything to the void just so she can kind of rule over everything. Mm-hmm. It's sort of the vibe that I was getting. Again, the ending to this movie is the biggest miss, in my opinion.
It sets up nothing for the future.
Except for, okay, so now we have to go to how do they stop her, right? So her hands are in the machine. We see the Loki time strings forming around her. Deadpool and Wolverine have a fight about who's going to sacrifice themselves because Paradox says you guys are both going to die because it's atoms smashing against each other, so it's going to kill you at an atomic level. So they're like, okay, one of us has to die. Wolverine's like, I'm going to do it. I let everyone down. Please let me. Before he gets in, which I hated, Deadpool bursts in and throws him out.
Yeah.
Deadpool starts trying to pull the two machines together.
He can't reach.
Yeah, he can't reach. We knew Hugh Jackman was going to come in.
Yeah.
They start doing it. They end up ripping the machine apart and kind of dissolving.
Wolverine's
Cassandra
shirt
Nova,
absolutely it just disintegrates. We see a CGI'd Hugh Jackman bod. Is he natty? Is Hugh Jackman natty?
I think Hugh Jackman is natty.
But did they did they CGI edit that bod?
No, he got in shape for the movie.
What? I don't know, man. I was looking at that and I was like, they added some abs. Hugh Jackman, not natty, confirmed.
according to Max Yates.
We get another song drop while they're ending the time thing.
And we see Hunter B-15 from Loki show up, start interrogating Paradox, saying,
and hitting
you guys are doing
Peter.
this. Yeah, weird, but...
I'll take it.
Yeah, also, I hated that. I hated how, we're reverting back a bit of it, but the reason that all the Deadpools stop attacking is because of Peter showing up. Like,
just another thing
to move the plot forward that didn't really make a lot of sense in the grand scheme of things. And then we have Paradox saying, oh, they're heroes. You know, it was my plan to stop the machine. I wasn't trying to build it. Yada, yada. This is why I'm here. And then Deadpool's like, you're lying. And he starts swearing or whatever. So confirm that, which I thought they wouldn't be dead.
Yeah.
Also, a problem with me, I knew the sacrifice wasn't going to be a sacrifice because I knew they weren't going to die. Which says more about Marvel as a whole and their cash cows.
Yeah. But, like, the stakes to this film are at an all-time low.
I mean, they could. I mean, let me go on a quick tangent. Yeah. This is a recurring Marvel problem, except for really Infinity War and Endgame, except Infinity War brought everyone back.
Yep.
They only killed off Tony Stark and retired Captain America's character. But even in Ant-Man and the Wasp, that could have been your movie to show, like...
Or Ant-Man Quantumania.
Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. If Kang would have killed some members of the Ant-Man family or, like, crippled them or whatever, that would have been my cue to be like, oh my gosh, this guy's an actual threat. He's an actual villain. Like, but that didn't happen. And again, so I knew the stakes weren't really stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
if you look at this movie as a comedy about the multiverse, superhero movies as a whole, the culture, it is a 9 or 8 out of 10. It is hilarious. It cuts apart all of the problems we have with these movies. If you look at this movie as I want to go see the Marvel universe move forward, if you are used to the Deadpool
which Feige
movies,
said it would, which it doesn't, like, at all. So
the previous Deadpool movies have heart, in my opinion. They do have, like, a good heart at the core of them. That is not in this movie. It is, like, kind of, here's some more Marvel schluck for you to eat. Eat it, pig. Like,
I walked out of this movie, again, the biggest fan, nostalgia, 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, the story wasn't great, even though I recognized it. Looking back again, and I would have to rewatch it again, but my ranking would probably be, like, honestly, like a 7. Or maybe even, like, lower than that.
I would say 6 to 7 is where I'm at. I really enjoyed this movie. It was a good time at the movies. Had people laughing. Had one guy in particular, like, literally repeating every line. I like this movie, but it is not promising to the future of Marvel. It is a little bit lackluster. The end credit scene, did it do anything for you?
No, I really thought there'd be some big tease.
Yeah.
That's what, really, when the film ended, I'm like, okay, this hasn't really moved the plot forward at all. There's got to be a post-credit.
Post-credit's going to rip.
I really don't want to get into it. It's basically a joke about Chris Evans saying all the insults verbatim that he claimed he didn't say to Cassandra. And that was the entire thing. As soon as I knew it started, I almost started getting up and leaving because I was like, there was
looked
nothing.
up what the post-credit scene was going to be, and when I read it was that, I left. I was like, that's not worth sticking.
Yeah, it's not worth it. So,
good time at the movies. Okay. This is the most important question. Should Deadpool and Wolverine have kissed?
Yes, I think that would have probably advanced the plot more forward than anything that happened in the.
If they would have kissed, 10 out of 10 cinema. Movies are back. Because it is kind of a bromance story between the two. I thought if they would have kissed, it would have been hilarious.
Yeah. Final thoughts before we really depart. Max, rating, really what you liked the most, what you didn't like the most.
I give it this one is not going to age well. It's one of those that's for the moment. In the moment, it was awesome. It was fun. Overall, I'd give it like a 6.3. I don't know what our rating score is. I'd give it I'll watch it again, but ...
Yeah. I'm going to go a little higher. So I'm going to give it probably like I said, probably like a 7.1. I'm not going to give it a flat 7, like a 7.1, 7.2. First of all, quick hits. The comedy landed. A lot of the cinematography was great, but then you had scenes where it was like the CGI and cinematography, this just looks bland.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't
look
colorful.
I would say everything in Deadpool's beginning, real life Deadpool, that stuff looked awesome. Once you get to the void and post that, it's like, whoa, what are we doing? Hugh Jackman's acting and Ryan Reynolds, he was good in this movie as well. Both of them were a hit for me. The references were a mild hit. My problems with the movie are the plot, the structure, the stakes.
You need to be going into this movie thinking it's a Deadpool movie, not an MCU movie, if that makes sense. You need to think of this as an isolated Deadpool rounding out his trilogy, which I really don't think there's going to be a fourth one. But
they said that this is not Deadpool 3. This is Deadpool and Wolverine, and Deadpool 3 is to come.
I consider it to be Deadpool 3. I really don't think there's going to be another standalone Deadpool movie, if you want me to be completely. I think this might be Ryan Reynolds. It's not going to be the last time wearing a suit, because I fully expect him to show up in Secret Wars and maybe even Doomsday. But also highlights seeing Hugh Jackman in the cowl, seeing him in the suit.
Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine, he's just awesome.
Yeah, he just hit. It really just hit. Ryan Reynolds was great. Then you just have the low points where the pacing of the story is also bad. It's just so rushed at some points.
Okay, Mr. Paradox is your villain. Cassandra Nova is your villain. Mr. Paradox and Cassandra. The villain timing didn't work for me. Felt like...
And again, the ending was dragging on. Yeah. Even in my first initial screening, I'm like, we need to be wrapping up soon.
The 3 acts were so obvious to me and they all felt like they were kind of their own movie, with the 3rd act in particular being just like, how do we wrap this up?
Yeah.
It was a mismatch. It was a lot in one movie. I liked it. I saw it twice.
But when you rewatch the MCU movies, and this is going to feel, in my opinion, the most disconnected movie in the entirety, really, of the MCU.
A lot of stuff post Endgame just feels like filler for whatever we're doing next.
But Feige also said at the Deadpool had a panel at Comic-Con. He said this is sort of when this story is going to lead into the X-Men. It's going to lead into the mutants. It does none of that, at all. I don't know if he said that for a hype factor, or maybe they changed the ending to the movie or something. But I still don't know really kind of where this phase is leading up to as a whole.
The fizzle phase.
Yeah.
It's just kind of fizzled out. We're
in phase 5.
Yeah.
Of the multiverse saga.
Is going to come to a peak with Secret Wars and Doomsday. And then hopefully...
That'll be the end of the multiverse saga. We'll get into our thoughts at a later date and time of, where that's going to be going moving forward, the MCU as a whole. But Max, any final thoughts before we depart?
Pleasure talking about this movie with you. I'd like to just end on one word.
Gubernatorial.
Oh, gubernatorial.
Oh yeah, right.
Gubernatorial.
Quibblers, thank you all for watching our very first episode.
Our Q
We
heads.
hope you stayed through the entire thing. Please like, please subscribe to become the newest member of the Quibble family, and we will see you next time.
Quibble next time. Thank you.